Welcome to the Super Speedway.
Welcome to episode 239 of the Super Speedway podcast, recorded Tuesday, June 7th, 2022. I'm your host, Eric Young, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, James Cush. James, how's it going tonight?
Pretty good, man. Sun's shining. It's beautiful here in Michigan, so, I mean, I can't complain, right? We're in the best season of the year.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. I worked from home today, and about 3:30, I went and sat out on the porch, and I'm thinking, man, I should have done this a lot earlier today.
Oh man, and this time of year, my mental clock has still not adjusted to the new NASCAR schedule because I start thinking about Michigan International Speedway right about now.
Oh, my freaking memories on Facebook and everything are just filled with MIS posts.
I know, because Father's Day weekend for so long was MIS weekend, and of course, all that's changed in the last couple of years. But still, my 90s and 2000s NASCAR clock hasn't changed internally, so I'm stuck. When the weather starts getting really good and Michigan summer starts rolling in, my mind automatically goes to Brooklyn. It's just the way it is, man.
Yeah.
It's never gonna change, I don't think.
James, Joe Gibbs Racing put a poll up on there, or a question up on their Instagram today, of which track should have a NASCAR race. And you know which one was overwhelmingly in the responses?
Let's have it.
Chicagoland.
Oh, you're a little bit your baby.
Everybody wants Chicagoland back, and there were some Kentuckys in there too, but there were a lot of Chicagolands. It was definitely the leader.
Yep.
Oh, I hope it comes back, man. I hope.
Yep. That would give us another race in our area. So
yeah, definitely
something to think about. Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, as it is right now, covering races locally here, normally August, Michigan is my end of the season for me, and it's the beginning and end this year, and it's like, man, I got to wait a long time to go cover a race.
Yep, that's for sure. Yeah, it's just spaced out unless we wanted to make the trip down to St. Louis.
Yeah, I know.
I guess that's kind of in our wheelhouse, I guess, a little bit. But
well, the company that I work for has a newspaper down there, and they covered this race, and I have sort of been invited to do it next year. So
attaboy. So
I'm hoping I'll be down there next year for it, but of course we don't know for sure yet if there's next year, right? They haven't announced a second date, but I would guess, based on the success of this weekend, we probably will see another race at Gateway, don't you think?
Oh yeah, and we're starting to see facility improvements being made, and things are going on down there. This isn't a one and done situation. We're gonna see racing at Gateway again, especially when the product was pretty solid. I mean, a pretty great race overall, and we had action in other ways, but we had really good racing action, straightforward, good stuff. So I was impressed with the product on the track. The new car really performed again to its very high standards that it's been setting for itself. So that was fantastic all the way around. Great job by what WWT Raceway. We're gonna call
right.
We're gonna call it Gateway. But,
they even called it Gateway on Fox. I mean,
at the finish line, when Jolo took the checkered flag. Yep. Yeah,
that's because Worldwide Technology probably didn't pay for the sponsorship. But anyway, I had a buddy, friend of the show, Ryan Collier, who did photos for us a couple years ago at MIS. Reached out, hit me up on the old Snapchat, and asked me, how will they get the rest of the short tracks to run like Gateway? And it's like, man, Gateway is such a terrible track on paper. On paper, you would go, this is going to be awful. It's a flat track.
Yeah.
No, NASCAR's never been good on flat tracks, especially semi-fast flat tracks. But every time they race there, the Xfinity Series, the Truck Series have always put on good shows at Gateway, and the Cup Series did the same thing. I mean, was it the best race of the year? No, but it was. I mean, we had 3 wide racing in the turns, James. We thought everybody was talking about
4 and 5 wide down the front stretch.
Yeah, we thought it was going to be follow the leader, and I mean, I guess some of the drivers will still argue that they couldn't pass, but I think Joey Logano proved that wrong at the end. I mean,
that last restart.
You know who couldn't pass is Ross Chastain, man. He couldn't get past that 11 car for some reason.
There were some cars that were really wide out there.
Yeah, right.
That last restart, though, talking about that, I mean, that was, I hate to say, to use the old Brian France word, but that was quintessential NASCAR racing.
Yeah.
You had a late restart, you got the crossover going on, two champions duking it out. I mean, that was you can't, if somebody comes to you and says, "Hey, here's the scenario at the end of the race," you can't ask for anything else.
No,
when that's what you get. That's
other
what
than
you
the
want.
fact it's probably the two most hated drivers in NASCAR battling out for a win.
yeah, you got to pick your poison, right?
Yeah, but I mean, Joey said after the fact that that the way that they raced was a sign of respect between the two drivers.
Of course, yeah.
He argued that maybe they still don't really like each other a whole lot, but they respect each
Sure.
other in their racing, and it was a good, clean race for the win.
Yep.
I was waiting to see if somebody was going to hook somebody else. I didn't see Kyle hooking Joey, but you just never quite know with Joey. I figured he was all right because he didn't get roughed up himself, but you never know. But yeah, it just honestly, James, I was bummed that last caution came out because Joey was tracking Kyle down.
Yeah,
and I think we're going to have a hell of a race anyway. But I mean, the green white checker just was the icing on the cake.
Yeah, and one trend we are seeing with this new car, with specifically Kyle Busch, if I can get that word out of my mouth, but specifically with Kyle Busch, you have these restarts, and I feel like he's been getting taken a couple of times here. We saw Larson do it, and then this week we saw Joey get the best of him on that restart. And I don't know if it's just situationally where he lined up. I know YRB was there to give Joey a little bit of a push too, and Kurt didn't give Kyle the same type of push, but still, you never used to see Kyle Busch get beat on restarts, and I just feel like he's not as as dangerous as he's been on those late race restarts, and that kind of put him in that situation because if he wins that restart, he probably wins the race. I know he was able to get a move on Joey, but it wasn't enough.
Not as dangerous on the restarts, but dangerous overall, James. If you look at Kyle's season, he's only got the one win, but he's got a couple second place finishes. He's run really well. We're starting to see the Kyle Busch of old a little bit here, and certainly a threat toward the end of the season. You gotta believe Kyle's going to be able to put himself in position to get in that Final Four. He usually is able to do it, other than last year.
Yeah, Darlington was his worst race where he crashed. He had a 33rd out of the last handful of weeks. But if you go all the way back to Richmond, his finishes are 9th, 7th, a win, a 3rd, a 7th, a 3rd, a 2nd, and now another 2nd. So he is stringing them together. If he could get another win, I'm sure he'd be thrilled. He probably wants to get a couple more. But yeah, he's rounding into shape. We are seeing some separation. We got some championship contenders.
The cream is rising to the top now, isn't it?
Yeah. We're starting to see a few guys here. Joey is starting to rise. I'd throw Kurt Busch in there. Kurt's been solid. And then we're going to talk about Ross Chastain. But say what you want about Ross, and we'll get into it. But every week he is top 5. So those guys, like William Byron this week, for example, out to lunch a little bit. Even Kyle Larson really wasn't a factor in this race. And you wonder, maybe the Chevys are slipping back a little bit. Fords and Toyotas starting to put some stuff together here. I think we're seeing a little bit of a change of the guard a little bit in this season. Wondering if it's going to keep going back and forth, with some of these different tracks that we're going to. But yeah, we've got some interesting players starting to show themselves.
Yeah, there are definitely some people that are starting to separate themselves from everybody else. We saw a little bit of it at the beginning, but now we're getting that little group there that you're like, okay, these are the guys we're going to be watching through the playoffs. And, obviously with this format, anybody else can sneak in. You can have a Ryan Newman that sneaks in at the end, that sort of thing. But I think we kind of know who the players are going to be at this point. And a lot of the guys that aren't up there competing are probably not guys that we're going to really expect a whole lot of come the last 10 races.
Right.
Let's talk about Ross Chastain, because James, that was kind of the story of the day to start things out. Obviously, unless you're living under a rock, you know that Chastain got in the back of Denny Hamlin, and Denny Hamlin vowed to make the race pretty darn miserable for old Ross Chastain the rest of the race. Did a whole hell of a lot of blocking without ever touching him, which I'll tell you what, I think that was more fun than watching him wreck him, because he was all in Ross's head.
I tweeted out during the race that I actually would be really excited to see a car doing this every single week. It was must see television unless you were the executives at Fox.
Right.
Everything was really, that was a lot of fun. To just kind of, I don't know.
I don't know. I think the executives at Fox liked it too, James, because I guarantee you there were some eyeballs that stuck around to the end of that race that wouldn't have.
Well, I just think that they didn't understand the situation as much as the fans did,
right?
Because the cameras didn't seem to be ready. Is what
yeah.
Where I was getting at. But yeah, they definitely enjoyed it on that part of it for sure.
Yeah, so let's talk about it.
Yeah, let's have it.
I know you had some strong feelings during the race about Mr. Chastain.
Yeah, I've cooled off since then.
Yeah. So did Chastain deserve what he got? And I guess, does he deserve more going forward? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think Denny's going to get him back.
Yeah.
And I think listen, that's the way this sport is. It's a self-policing sport at times, and payback is due. That being said, I'm waiting for Denny Hamlin to get Chase Briscoe back. Still, I haven't seen that one. But I think, I think what the way Ross races, and Eric, you and I have hashed this out, but Justin Marks, his team owner, even said the same thing. These guys aren't used to racing Ross in the top 5, but I'd flip that on Justin Marks, and I'd say Ross isn't used to racing up front with these guys. And I feel like this weekend what he is as a race car driver, it just came that cup came overflowing, and he was a little bit over his head a handful of times, and went after the race, and absolutely he admitted that he was wrong. But yeah, this was another thing I tweeted out. Ross being Ross. This is what he is as a driver. I don't think he's changing anytime soon.
I'm glad that you brought up Justin Marks, because I wanted to go and visit that comment that he made, because I don't think he's wrong, James. I think let's take Kevin Harvick. Put Kevin Harvick in Ross Chastain's shoes. Runs in the back of Denny Hamlin, puts him up the track. He hits the wall. I mean, Denny's pissed, but Denny's not going to do what he did to Chastain to somebody like Kevin Harvick. We saw Denny do it to get mad at William Byron last year, or Alex Bowman last year. I think that's the same situation. A younger guy coming up, running with the veterans. I think that there's a little bit of a chip on Denny's shoulder, and all these guys that are running up front, that these kids are coming in. I mean, Denny's made the comment before about, I think Denny was one of them that was complaining about the promotion that the kids were getting coming up, that they hadn't proved themselves yet. So Justin's not wrong. I'll take the Ross Chastain side, James. I'll tell you what, there was a guy that raced like this throughout his entire career.
I think I know where you and I might have different names here, but go for it.
He didn't just do it for the win. He did it in mid-pack. He did it anywhere. He roughed people up, and he won 7 championships as a result.
Oh, you went with a different driver than I was going to compare to, but yes.
And he's been revered for it. So, I mean,
yes.
Earnhardt was the intimidator, and I mean, Ross Chastain's not old enough to be the intimidator yet, but when Earnhardt was Chastain's age, running with the big dogs, they felt the same way about him as they do Chastain. So
yeah, and I think to toss that one back at you a little bit, Earnhardt was so polarizing that he set the standard.
Yeah,
I don't think disagree. Ross. Yeah, I here's my comp, Eric, and let me tell you, and tell me if you agree.
Yeah.
I go Ernie Irvan.
Yeah, I knew you were going there.
And that's just a guy who, similarly, Ernie Irvan famously got up at a driver's meeting in Talladega and apologized to all the drivers.
Yeah, didn't that feel a lot like Ross's post-race interview?
Totally. Yeah, I think so. Very, very much. I think in the moment, Ross Chastain and listen, man, you and I were messaging during this race, and I said some things that you know. I was pretty hard on him.
I know, man.
Moment,
I wish we would do the podcast right after the races.
Yeah, I know. That's why I said we should start podcasting mid-race. But I think giving yourself a little bit of distance to look at it too, to be fair to Ross, and Ross in his mind too, those incidents happened earlier in the race with Denny and Chase, and Ross was talking pretty big on the radio, but I think also during the race and every time he had to battle Hamlin, and then Chase Elliott gave him a shove too. I think he had some time to reflect on what he had going on out there. And, I initially thought he was not being genuine with some of his comments, but I also, I've had time to think about it now too. And I really do think he was being genuine because I see a guy who wants to be in the club with the big dogs. He, I think, recognizes that these are seasons that don't come around very, very often. You drive for 15 years, maybe. How many chances are you really going to have to be in the championship hunt, especially if you're Ross Chastain? This might be, one in a handful of times he'll ever have a chance.
If anybody's going to appreciate the fact that he's in that group, it's Chastain with how hard he's worked to get there.
Absolutely. And he's been crossed off before by many a driver. Kevin Harvick's crossed him off.
Yeah.
And he's worked hard. He's come from a place where, kind of an old school way, a little bit. We don't have a whole lot of guys that have come from as far down as he had and driven around the back. Alex Bowman, I think, has had a similar journey too. Right. It's just, it's, I don't think maybe a lot of people are surprised with what happened this weekend. I'm not surprised. This is who Ross Chastain is. Yeah. And honestly, Eric, racing's more fun when you've got wild cards like Ross Chastain.
Exactly.
And I hope he doesn't change.
I'm almost disappointed with what he said after the race because I kind of wish he would have just said, "Hey man, I'm racing hard," and not been so sympathetic to it, to be honest. I mean, I do think I think he saw what Denny Hamlin could do to him in the playoffs, and I think he decided to take a step back because of it. And so, but I don't think Ross Chastain owes anybody an apology. I think that's the way he's going to race. I think that's the way he should race. I think he makes the sport more interesting. And you mentioned Earnhardt being polarizing and that. I don't think that's a thing that Chastain is. I don't see people hating on Chastain yet. Yeah, the people were cheering Denny like crazy.
No. Yeah.
But Chastain's still got a good story, and people still like the whole watermelon thing and the watermelon farmer coming up and winning races and all that.
Yeah.
So he hasn't taken the Kyle Busch villain turn yet.
Yeah. Well, keep roughing up Chase Elliott.
That's true.
See how that goes for you. Ask Kevin Harvick.
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, that's true.
But there's your example though, right there, Eric. Is Chase Elliott kind of messed up Kevin Harvick's day a little bit at Bristol last year, and we all kind of forgot about it a little bit, and then we got to an elimination race at the Roval, and all hell broke loose. So maybe maybe that's the path that Denny's going to take, or maybe they do talk it out and say, hey man, this.
Our good buddy Scott Miller talked to Sirius XM Radio this morning.
Yes, he did. I saw this.
And he said NASCAR will probably meet with the drivers, and he also said that they will intervene if necessary.
I hate this.
I agree. I also hate it. I mean, I guess I don't mind NASCAR saying, "Hey, we're watching you guys. Don't do anything too stupid." But at the same time, I kind of like the wink, wink, nudge, nudge, and you guys have at it and make things interesting.
Yes.
And I think Scott Miller partially is doing this as a PR thing too, and not.
Scott likes the cameras.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think he's telling fans what he needs to tell the fans, and I think that they'll try to put a little bit of a squash to it, but at the same time, they're gonna promote the crap out of it, and they're gonna cheer when it happens in the booth. But I mean, none of us really think that Denny Hamlin's going to forget, right?
No, Denny won't.
Will Denny cost himself a championship, James, by taking a shot at Chastain and getting suspended?
I don't know. I mean, if he wrecks him like Matt Kenseth did,
right.
Joey Logano, yeah, but I don't see Denny Hamlin doing that.
No, I think Denny's gonna do what Chase did to him. He's gonna run him wide, cut down a tire, something like that. He's not gonna outright wreck him, but he's gonna make his day miserable, and he's gonna hurt him when it matters. Although he did say these guys need to be hooked into the wall hard, so I don't know.
Yeah, and that's I think the comment that got him in trouble, especially when you saw what happened to Kevin Harvick late in the race with that brake rotor going.
Right.
And such a hard lick with this new next-gen car. I wonder if that's where NASCAR is kind of coming from too, is like, hey, we can't have intentional hits like that.
I don't think that the hard hits these guys are taking in this car are getting enough attention.
Harvick was real, and Harvick, Eric, if I gave you a list of like the top tough SOBs,
I wouldn't screw with Harvick.
Harvick's one of the tough SOBs in this sport, man, and he was winded.
Harvick's old school NASCAR tough.
Yeah, he's hit concrete.
Yeah, he's
a lot of these guys have only hit safer barriers.
You know.
Yes. Most of the guys in the garage area have only hit safer barriers.
Right.
He's hit concrete, so he's got some callus in that body.
It worries me that these guys are. I mean, so far it's not breaking anything, but I don't know, man. It worries me.
Well, we saw. Yeah, we're gonna get into it in a couple more topics here, but we saw some pretty devastating hits this weekend at Gateway.
Yeah.
That one was pretty rough. You don't see Kevin Harvick taking his time like that very often. But again, he when you don't have any brakes and you're going into the corner like that, that's, there's not much of a better result that you're going to get. I mean, you're going to be a little winded, maybe have some bruises. I think you're going to count your blessings when that happens.
Yeah, I agree.
But that's 3 weeks in a row, Eric, now where we've seen some really tough hits with these cars. We had 2 cars go airborne, and
the thing is to the fans, it looks like they're not wrecking very hard because the cars aren't getting damaged. But that's why the hits are so hard, because that energy's got to go somewhere. And I don't think this car makes it without a safer barrier. I think the safer barrier makes this car possible, because you're able to absorb that energy with the safer barrier instead of the car. I mean, I don't know. It surprises me still that we go to tracks. I mean, I know Gateway is new on the schedule, but it surprises me we go to a track that has concrete exposed walls still. Yeah. Indianapolis still has concrete on the straightaways.
Well, think about some of the tracks where we've had some of our hardest hits in NASCAR, and the one that comes to the top of the list for me is New Hampshire.
Yep.
And Gateway and New Hampshire have a lot of similarities.
Yep.
So that's just something to think about. There's not a lot of give on these flat tracks with fast straightaways.
I will give credit to Gateway, and I figured they would do it because they do it for IndyCar, but they did seal up the backstretch opening, so we didn't have that odd angle wall on the backstretch, so that was good. So, but
you can't have that with the Cup cars out there.
No.
Especially in the Indy cars, honestly. I mean, you can't.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We're going way too fast.
Certainly wouldn't want to put an IndyCar head on into one of those things.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way that wall is. I mean, you just hit the right angle, you're head on into it. So, yeah. Good they don't have that anymore.
Yep, I agree.
So overall, A grade for Gateway, we give it an A or B? What do you think?
Yeah, it's in the A- and higher club.
I think so.
I was really happy with this race. I love seeing these new tracks on the schedule.
Me too. Excitement behind it, James, full crowd. Yeah. And from what I hear, they did some great things there at the track with a lot of activation. Shoot, John Roberts and Kenny Wallace were back with the speed stage, for God's sakes. That's enough right there to make it worth it.
Yeah, for sure.
So good job to St. Louis and all those folks down there. Yeah.
It's fun seeing a full crowd, man. It's a smaller crowd than you and I, our glory days. I know we have some new fans who listen to the podcast, but that's what it used to be like with 150 and 200,000 people every weekend.
Dude, I don't care for 200,000 people at one place, though.
I know I don't care anymore that it's not that many. It's just nice to get reminded, like, we can actually pack these things, and it could be an awesome visual and an awesome experience.
Yeah.
So I hope the fans had a great time who went there to their first race, because that's what it's all about, man.
And surprisingly, we didn't have traffic issues that we expected to. The parking situation was kind of screwy with having a pre-buy parking, but everybody got in. So.
Yeah, it didn't deter fans, because it looked like everybody was in. So.
Well, and Gluck was talking about during his podcast about how they were still strolling around watching concerts and stuff after the race. So, good on Gateway for putting on a good show.
Yeah, let's keep it on the schedule. Yep. It's nice to not have a cookie cutter track out there, and we're going to Nashville in a couple of weeks. I'm glad that's still on the schedule. If we find ways, and Eric, your baby is lurking.
Telling you.
I'd love to get that one back on the circuit now too. If we can find a way to flex in some new tracks from time to time. Heck, Eric, if we had like an 8-track rotation where maybe they don't get a race every year, but maybe we throw them in every other year or something, that would be another way to keep things fresh.
Yeah.
from time to time. Maybe Chicagoland doesn't come back to the schedule full time, but maybe we get it from, maybe we get it on even or odd years, and we go somewhere else for the for the other ones, kind of like the Olympics or something.
Well,
that'd be a way to do it.
I would argue that if you're going to have 2 races on the schedule, and this is my argument, I don't like 2 races at tracks anymore. We've got too many tracks that want to race in a series,
except for Daytona and Talladega.
Well, and I'm going to go there because my argument is if you're going to have 2 races on the schedule, then you need to have something that differentiates those races. Now, maybe it's just, hey, it's Richmond. We run a day race. We run a night race. Okay, 2 separate races, same track. We're good with that. But if it's the same race, same track, 2 times a year, no, I don't like that. Get rid of those. So let's put some lights in at Talladega or something. Make the second Talladega race different. Daytona, we run one during the day, one during the night. That works. Charlotte, we've got the Roval and we've got the oval track. That's the type of stuff we need to do if we're going to run multiple races to these tracks. Let's break it up, make them 2 separate races, and otherwise you don't get a second date.
Yep, and if your track doesn't perform, Texas,
right,
Richmond, I'm looking at you. Get out of here.
Yep,
I can think of one date maybe.
I can think of some better short tracks in Richmond, that's for sure.
Yeah. So good stuff, man. Good stuff. Eric, I was going to tell you, I was feeling really, really good about myself when Chase Briscoe got the pole.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, what a pick. And he got that flat tire. I was so bummed because it looked like he actually had some speed.
Yeah, I was expecting a lot out of him. I put him on my fantasy lineup because of the expectations there. Yeah.
How cool was it though? I bring him up to get to this point that he's my segue. How cool was it to see the guys double shifting down and through the track? I mean, I know most people don't care about that kind of thing, but man, I love seeing these guys work a little bit. Behind the wheel.
I don't really care that they're shifting, to be quite honest.
I
like the fact that it didn't affect the show. It didn't affect the racing, like when we're shifting at Martinsville or whatever. It does seem to affect it there, but it didn't affect it here. So I'm good with it. I always thought it was interesting at Pocono, but I don't know. I think of it from the driver's seat, and I'm like, man, I wouldn't want to have to freaking shift around these tracks.
I think it adds to a little bit of the action too, because it shows that they're scrubbing speed and being able to get a little more traction with those lower gears. I think that's just a nice little. I don't know. It's a nice little touch. It's very minimal. Like 5% greater that it's there, but I do enjoy. It's just my inner nerd liking that these guys shift and I said last week that was my reason I picked Chase Briscoe, because I felt like he was so good at Phoenix doing that very same thing, and I thought it was going to translate, and I was feeling pretty good about myself until about lap 27 when everything came crashing down on me. So.
A lot of people wondering why this race was only 300 miles, 3 hours, 7 minutes, 34 seconds.
Long. Yeah.
That's good enough, man. We don't need to go longer.
Same reason we do 300 at New Hampshire. Same reason.
Yep. It's a flat track, so
I'm good with it. Yep.
Joey Logano, ironically enough, leads 22 laps on the day to get the win.
And he wins on a new track.
Yeah.
Again.
So I want to talk about that because Joey's getting a lot of credit for winning on new tracks, but he's really only done it a couple times. Larson's won more on new tracks than Logano has lately.
Well, if you
Logano's getting it's the flat tracks, man. Logano is good on the flat tracks.
Yeah, if you're going to give him the Coliseum, you want to give him that one. That's fine. You give him Bristol Dirt, that's fine.
But that's
Gateway.
It. Yeah, no Gateway.
And Gateway.
That's it.
Yep.
That's just 3 races.
Yeah, and Chase Elliott wins all the road courses, so.
Yeah.
But it just seems like in the last year, now, well, I guess if you want to do it that way, in the last year since the Bristol Dirt won, he's gobbling.
Yeah, if you want to skew the statistics how you want it, then sure,
that's totally fine.
You can make him say whatever you want him to say.
Yep.
A couple drivers worth noting and good runs. Eric Almirola was strong in this one, 5th place finish.
The Fords, man.
Yeah.
Ryan Blaney. Those guys look strong. I mean, heck, Eric Almirola, like you said, great finish. Strong day. It's awesome. I love seeing some of the Stuart Haas guys creeping back up there, so that's good.
Eric Jones continues to impress in that 43 car, top 10 finish, 7th place.
Yeah, great season he's having.
Yeah.
Really happy for him right now. I mean, he's almost got as many top 10s as he had all of last year.
I want him to sneak a win in somewhere other than
could do
Daytona,
it, man. He can do it.
Yeah.
He can win one of these things. He's not that far off. He's really not. A couple breaks go his way. He can get it done.
Ross Chastain finishes 8th despite Denny Hamlin. and Chase Elliott.
Man, what a day.
AJ Allmendinger crawled up to a 10th place finish after not running a single lap on this track before the race started.
Yeah, he's the man.
And
he's the man.
Hell of an adventure the day before.
He's the man.
Yeah. Justin Haley, 14th. Decent run for him.
Yep. Michael McDowell, Eric. We got to talk about that for just at least a
34
minute.
laps led.
Yeah, he snuck up there. I thought he was going to win that stage.
Am I right that I heard that was the most laps he's ever led?
Yeah,
like more than his career laps he led in this race.
I think so, and he it wasn't a fluke. Like the dude drove up there, and that was that was the most laps led. So his career high in a season is 33 in 2018. So he bested his career best, and now for this season he has 38 total laps led. So his career total is 152 laps led. So just to kind of put that in perspective, he pushed himself pretty high up into his career laps led total. So pretty cool.
Zane Smith finishes 17th in his Cup debut, filling in for.
He had a hell of a pit road situation at one point that team overcame.
Yeah.
I think he punted Chase Elliott's tire halfway to Kingdom Come on his way in. But yeah, pretty good day for Zane Smith. That was cool.
He beat the boss.
He did.
Finished
That's what he
20th,
said
so,
too.
Yeah.
Yep.
So good run for him. Anything else with this one worth noting, James?
I thought Austin Cindric was going to have a better finish, but I mean, 11th's a good day for Austin Cindric.
Yeah, top finishing rookie, by the way.
Yep, top finishing rookie, and he led a handful of laps. And him and Chase looked like they were going to be really strong. Martin Truex Jr. was really strong too for a spell.
Yeah.
But wasn't able to finish it off. But yeah, we had 6 drivers all score 40 points and higher in this race. There was just a lot of balance at the top. Comers and goers, I guess you'd say, but yeah, a lot of guys just kind of when I like looking at the final point total for the race to see, how guys did throughout. Nobody really ran away with this race, and at the end of the day, it was Joey and Kyle Busch duking it out. So
right,
yeah, yep, pretty good day. Great race.
Chase Elliott's your points leader by 9 points over Kyle Busch right now for the Cup Series.
Yeah, Kyle Busch will have that. He'll have that back after. I think this weekend he's coming. He likes Sonoma.
Yeah, it's a good track for him.
Chase is good too, but yeah, KFB.
Yep. I don't even have him. I'm not even ready. There it is.
It's okay. Don't be. There you go. Eric, we're still approaching. Possibly 17 winners is still up for grabs, but I know, but we're lessening the. We are lessening the total, but the guys who haven't won: Blaney, Truex, Chris Bell, Eric Almirola, Tyler Reddick. Those are the guys who are in the playoffs who haven't won.
Yeah.
That's not mentioning Kevin Harvick and possibly Eric Jones. So some other guys we think can maybe win some races here.
Joey Logano joins the double win club.
Yes, it's a small club.
Yep.
Joey, Ross, William Byron, Denny Hamlin. That's it.
The day before, a bunch of NASCAR Xfinity teams lost a crap ton of money by traveling across the country and then tearing up almost all of their equipment.
For 75 laps of racing, yes.
At Portland Raceway. AJ Allmendinger, aforementioned, started the race off by spinning before the green flag and comes back to win.
What was up with cautions and drivers having problems?
My God.
I
haven't figured out, James. So, okay, it was a rain race. And every rain race we run is a cluster. This is our first race in the Xfinity Series at Portland. In Portland, it tends to be a cluster. Was this race a cluster because of the rain or because of the track? And was it as much of a cluster as I feel like it was? Because as I'm watching this race, I'm going, I'm entertained as hell because I'm with Jordan Bianchi. I love chaos. But
hence the reason we were excited about the Denny Hamlin situation.
But God, did I feel like we looked stupid running this race?
Sometimes you put the Xfinity drivers out there, but the Cup drivers do the same dang thing. So I can't,
when Riley Herbst gets turned around and gets drilled from a car that's 15 cars back because they can't be seen in the rain? Does that say we shouldn't be doing this?
I am, Eric, you said it, and my initial thought was, but after what happened in Austin last year,
Yeah.
I am pro. Maybe, the track can be damp, but if it's raining, I don't think we should be out there.
Yeah.
And I don't think the fans would mind if we told them to stay under the bleachers for a couple hours.
I don't know. This place was still packed despite the rain.
Yeah, it's
although
racing
from
in the rain is,
my understanding, it was
rough.
packed for what they brought in for stands. My understanding is they didn't put in as much as they did for the Indy cars.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I hate rain delays. I hate pushing races back, especially when we have a way to run them. But man, I don't want to see somebody get hurt either. And like I said, that wreck scared me. It could have been worse than it was. I mean, we saw a pretty bad wreck with the truck series earlier in the day, where you could see. So I guess it can happen either way. But I don't know, man. I felt like it looked pretty silly, and I worry about visibility in these things. They can't keep the windows from fogging up. I don't know.
Yeah.
They're not street cars. It's different than running a sports car on a road course where some of that stuff is built in.
Right.
It's just not in these things. So I don't know. Right. But again, I was entertained. I watched this thing from start to finish, and I had a blast watching it.
Yeah, I mean, the track is definitely, that first turn is a doozy.
And it didn't even really create the chaos you expect, but there was still chaos.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. I don't even know. Like, we haven't even talked about the craziest thing that happened, which is the Jesse Uigi barreling into Ty Gibbs for no reason at all.
Well, James, I am going to do my jackass corner right now because there's no way.
Yeah, mine too. Same.
There's no way anybody but Jesse Uigi can be the jackass this week. Now, to be fair, NASCAR told him that because of where he came off on pit road, he was supposed to be ahead of the leader and told him to pass the leader. NASCAR, I think, kind of implied that maybe you should pass the leader on a straightaway, not going into a chicane, but he decided to try and do it in a chicane and drilled the only car on a track that hadn't had contact with anything, and spun Ty Gibbs out. James, I'll tell you what, I have nothing against Jesse Uigi as a person, but this guy, I would not let him park cars in the parking lot at a NASCAR race, let alone get out in a race car and drive 100 and some miles an hour around other people. I'm sorry, he didn't prove himself in the truck series to be capable of doing this. He certainly has not proven himself capable of doing it in an Xfinity car. NASCAR needs to park this guy and tell him he needs some experience on some short tracks before he's in some other series, in some lower series, before he comes back into one of the top 3 NASCAR series. He's going to hurt somebody. And I don't know what part isn't functioning, but he's done some really stupid crap, and I'm sorry. It's time to get him out of here. Fortunately, NASCAR parked him for 2 laps at least to show him that he's stupid, but I don't know, man. I don't know.
It's tough. Like, these guys, I mean, they make it here because they are talented. Sometimes guys sneak through. I say that, but I couldn't do what he's doing. So
yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, but you and I aren't in a car doing it.
Right. Yeah, I know. It's tough, man. It really is. I hate it. I hate it for him too, because it's such a silly mistake.
Yeah.
But guys make mistakes, and you can't make mistakes like that when you've got these vehicles.
The thing is you get a couple of mistakes, but you don't get mistakes every other week.
Yeah, they're piling up pretty high on him right now. Yeah. It's almost like you can't be in these cars. Like you said, you can't be in these cars if you're doing this every single week. You got to get your stuff together.
Yeah. Go step back down, run another season in late models. Prove that you know which one is the gas pedal, which one is the brake pedal, and how the steering wheel works.
Yeah.
And then you can come back and try this again. So
guys come up from time to time, Eric, that just, they're darts with no feathers, right? That's
and there's precedence for it. NASCAR wouldn't let Jennifer Jo Cobb run in the Cup Series. Yes. I mean, they've stepped in before and told people they can't race, that they're not fit to be racing.
Yeah, that saved the day.
Yeah, you aren't kidding. I mean, the thing is I'm all for progress, and I get that these kids are going to make mistakes, but if you can't prove yourself in the lower series, why are you jumping up to the mid tier?
Yep. Exactly.
I mean, what did he do in trucks to give anybody any confidence that he is capable of running an Xfinity car?
He's just not. Yeah, he's just not there yet.
No,
he's just not ready. It's blatant. He's not ready.
And I mean, this was the beginning of the unraveling of Ty Gibbs' day. Of course, then Ty Gibbs decided to get into it with Noah Gragson, which is probably not the smartest thing to do. They've already had a history. So
Ty can't help himself.
Yeah, I think that's another one that's going to be a future payback. Gregson's going to come after Ty at some point.
Which is fine with me. Those are two guys I'd love to see. I mean, those are two great personalities. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Noah could use some more fans. He can get them that way.
Yep.
He's already got a lot. He'll just get more doing that.
Noah went to Jesse's online store and bought a bunch of stuff.
That was great. That was so funny.
Noah is, man, I can't wait. I hope when he gets to the Cup Series, he's competitive because, man, he's just, I don't know. He's my kind of guy. He's a little bit crazy. So, I like it.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Hey, maybe he'll get a chance in a junior motorsports car coming up here in the Cup Series.
Maybe. Hey, maybe.
Anyway, let's see. What else is worth mentioning in this race? Like I said, it was kind of a cluster. People were all over the place. The definitely interesting aspect, I just poo-pooed racing in the rain, but the interesting aspect was switching to the dries and back to the wets. Something that, made the IndyCar race at Indianapolis this year on the road course good because of the same thing.
Yeah.
I love that decision process because the caution never falls at the right time to know that you can put on slicks. And that's fun. That's my favorite part of rain racing is deciding when to go to the dry tires.
Yeah, and it's fun in like Formula One too.
Yeah.
When those guys are dealing with that, and they're much better at racing in the rain than we are. But
the cars handle it a little bit better too.
Eric, we should shout out Jordan Anderson Racing.
Yeah,
for almost getting their first win.
I'll pronounce his name because you pronounce it wrong all
Thank
the time.
you. Yeah, I can't get it right.
Myatt Snyder gets a second place finish. They're they threatened a couple times. It's Jordan Anderson. I got to give that guy a lot of credit, and I've shouted him out on Twitter before. I like the guy. He's really digging, man, to make something of his own team, and was impressive in the truck series with some of the stuff he was able to do with underfunded equipment. And now, making a name for himself in the Xfinity series too. What a great pickup with Myatt Snyder in that ride. They started
a solid driver.
They started the season pretty rough in the catch fence at Daytona, but solid driver and a solid team, and these guys are going to be threatening for wins every now and then. I like it.
He's fast.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with him. He knows how to make these cars go.
Yep.
And he's not a dumb driver. He doesn't wreck a whole lot. He's just solid. He was really good in that Childress car. Maybe he's maybe a little bit of above average, but sometimes you take a driver who's, it's the opposite of what we were just talking about with Jesse, but you take a guy who's just a little bit better than average, and he can give you a little bit more in just being really, really smart and really, really solid. And this kid can drive.
Well, and I think, he might have been a little too early in the Childress car too. And I think he's continuing to grow and continuing to become a better driver. And
sure.
He's been able to put himself in some positions to have shots. And
I mean, his first two races with Childress, he was on the pole both times.
Yeah, right.
So it's like he knows how to get around places. So that's he's one of the guys I root for in the sport, though. I think he's just a good personality. He can wheel it, and to go toe to toe with AJ Allmendinger and Lewis isn't really nothing to be ashamed of. AJ's the best road course racer we got, so pretty cool.
A couple other shout outs for this race. JJ Yaley finishes 8th. Was up there toward the front throughout a lot of it. Alex LeBay finishes 10th. Brandon Brown comes home 12th. Actually mid-pack, Scott Heckert, Jade Buford, Landon Castle, Ryan Sieg, Andy Lally. Andy Lally ran great.
Landon Castle in a car that I think was held together with with string.
Andy Lally led 3 laps on the day and was competing for a win up there. Matt Jaskell Patrick Emmerling, these guys.
There's a lot of guys in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That aren't running in this series regularly and running up in mid-pack. So bummer for Sam Mayer, finishes dead last in the field, 38th with trouble in this one. So anything else to say with this, James? It was an adventure.
Yeah, I hope we go back to Portland.
Yeah.
Let's keep going. Yeah.
I don't know that anybody had as much of an adventure as AJ Allmendinger, but it was an adventure.
Flying cross country and making it work.
It's not our job as race fans to worry about what it costs these teams, but I would like to see NASCAR do something, like maybe run the Xfinity cars at Sonoma next week or the following week, just so they're not traveling all the way across the country to run a race and come back. I mean, everybody was saying that every team lost money on this race, that it was $30,000 at least to get out there, and the purse did not cover that, so
and they do get a couple of weeks off, but that doesn't fill the bank account either.
And then when you tear almost every car up, now you're even more in the hole from this race. So
I would like to see them on a better West Coast swing than this, but we're doing this with the Cup Series too, when we're going cross country a little bit more. But again,
the Cup Series though is I have a lot less sympathy for them. Fans want diversity in these racetracks. This is part of it, unfortunately. This is part of it. So definitely true. AJ Allmendinger is your points leader, 43 points over Ty Gibbs. Austin Hill finishing in third was our highest finishing rookie in the Xfinity Series.
All right.
Truck Series was in action at Gateway as well this weekend. Corey Heim gets the win on a late race restart. Yeah, great. This was a good race again. I think set the tone for the weekend. The first stage was nice and calm and quiet, and then the second stage beyond was a truck race where we tore some trucks up, and unfortunately tore 3 up pretty bad at the end of this thing, including Carson Hocevar, who we still do not have a full update on. I would argue injured in some way. Don't know at this point whether he's going to be racing tomorrow or not for a few weeks, what the issue is. He's had a couple kind of cryptic tweets or cryptic posts on Instagram. Pretty bad wreck. And James, you shared some audio with us. And I don't know, they mentioned it on Gluck's podcast. I don't know where it came from or how it got out there, but
somebody got to it and got it on Reddit, and it was on.
So you could hear Carson trying to call for safety crew while they were minding to the other 2 drivers. And I know the safety crew is getting a lot of criticism, but I will say that, Carson put his window net down, which is the universal sign that, hey, I'm okay. So I know when you're in that situation, you're not really thinking about that, but it did not give the safety crew a good look, the way they responded to the incident, especially a week after it took us how long to flip the 17 car over at Charlotte. But
a couple weeks in a row, we've had some, it's tough. It makes it look really bad the way the video's cut, and it is probably that bad. It's just, I don't know. I feel like the response time needs to be a little bit better. I think that goes without needing to be said.
IndyCar race, man, the caution's not even out yet, and there's safety crew on the track.
Yep.
I mean, you want to see what a great safety crew is. Watch the IndyCar series.
Yep.
I mean, they have been incredible for years.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Bummer for Carson. Certainly, he's been right there looking at his first win.
Yeah, we were talking him up again last week. Man, this guy's gonna be good, and gosh,
hopefully he finds out it's something they can put some pins in or something, and he can get right back to it. But I guess we'll find out.
I've got some pins in mind. It takes a minute to heal up from a lower leg extremity injury. We'll call it. That's what we'll call it.
Right.
I hope it's not too bad. And if he's got to miss a handful of weeks, and is what it is. But maybe he gets NASCAR gives him an exemption, and he can
get the waiver and get a win.
Do the Kyle Busch thing and get yourself back in the hunt. So it's not over, but just hoping for the best for Carson. We like him, Michigan guy like us, so we root for him, and hopefully he gets back here soon.
Yeah. Let's see. I don't know what else to talk about this one. Stuart Friesen had a good run in this one, 13th.
Yeah, I was just gonna say he tried to steal
laps
it late.
led. Yeah.
Yeah.
Chandler Smith, 40 laps led on the day. Christian Eckes, 9 laps led on the day. Those are your top 4. Johnny Sauter, 5th place finish for him, the old dude, the part timer,
one of those old guys.
Yeah,
sneaking in. Yep.
But again, I mean, just an entertaining Truck Series race, all around. And again, these Truck Series. First of all, the Truck Series puts on a good show almost every weekend. But they've consistently put on a good show at Gateway. Yep. So and Stewart tried to make it 3 for 3 for me on wins this week, by the way, in my picks. But...
You went the complete opposite direction to me. I was snake bit in every single race, and you went the opposite direction and tried to sweep the week.
Yeah,
pretty cool.
Yeah, and funny because AJ, at the start of that race, I'm like, man, I don't know what the hell I even picked him for. He's just garbage. He comes up and wins the thing.
Well, and I had Ty Gibbs, and of course,
right.
Yeah. I mean, I picked. So my picks were let's do this really quick.
Yeah.
My picks were Carson Hocevar,
right.
Injured. Ty Gibbs wiped out under caution. Still got me 40 points, so that's not the worst.
Yeah, you only lost 3 points on that race, so.
Yeah, and then Chase Briscoe gets the pole and is looking like a firecracker out front. I'm like, yeah, man, go get it, and blows a tire. So I went the complete other way. And now we have a gap in our picks.
Yep.
Let's just put it that way. Yep. Good stuff.
Yeah, it's all right. I'll pull away now.
You'll give it back to me in a couple weeks.
It's been interesting. Yeah, we've been going back and forth. It's been fun. We'll talk about our picks here.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Don't want to jump ahead.
Nope.
Too much. We do have. I guess I already closed the window. Anything else to talk about the truck race?
Nah, we're good. We're good.
Yeah. We have a little bit of news. Martin Truex Jr. making some news this week. Kind of non-committal about what his plans are for next year. James, I don't know about you. Maybe I'm speculating too much. I don't think he's coming back.
I am wondering the same.
Yeah.
I'm leaning towards he's probably coming back, but I don't have a really good feel for this one.
The way he was talking in this interview, the way that it was the interview was reported versus the way it actually looked if you watched the video.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's tough. It almost felt like to me it was Truex wants to go and they're trying to keep him around for another year or two.
That 19 car seems to be a little bit haunted by whoever's driving it.
Yeah.
That's Eric, let me pose this one at you.
Mm-hmm.
Since 2017, one driver has finished top 2 in points 4 out of 5 times. That driver is Martin Truex Jr.
Yeah.
It's like he's either the champion or he's in second place.
Right.
And then in 2020 he was 7th. So he legitimately could have 4 cups.
Mm-hmm.
He almost won the dang thing last year. Things break his way. This is by far, and if you look at his racing reference, this stretch of his career is so above and beyond anything he was before he joined that 78 car. That I just think he's gotta squeeze the juice out of that lemon just a little bit more.
Yeah, I don't want to see him go anywhere. I'm not even a giant Truex fan, but I don't want to see him go yet.
No, he's too good.
He's still got some fuel in the tank, man.
Yeah, he's not. I mean,
if Harvick's sticking around, Truex should stick around. Yeah,
Truex should at least sign a 2-year deal. In my opinion, a 2-year deal and see what the drop off is because he's too good. But
maybe he wants to go race IndyCar or something.
Well, too, Eric, on the other side of things, his girlfriend Sherry Pollux has been battling cancer quite a bit, and maybe that's where his focus goes.
Yeah.
On the personal side and giving more back to that, I would be curious to know his thoughts. And we'll never know.
Right.
Martin's never going to come out and tell us what's going on personally, but that would be my hunch. I'd like to see him come back. He's too good to retire.
I think it'd be interesting to see what happens if he goes because I think that the timeline's been set for Ty Gibbs at this point.
Yes.
And we're kind of expecting him to be in the Xfinity Series for another year. So do they pull the trigger and move him up early, or do they put somebody else in this car for a year? Do they put a John Hunter Nemechek or somebody like that up here, or somebody else? I think it's looking pretty likely. I mean, the rumors, the swirling has died down over the Kyle Busch thing. I think we're pretty likely that Kyle's going to be back in the 18 car. So yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to see what they do with this spot if Truex goes, but I hope he doesn't.
there's
I
a
hope
lot
he
of
sticks
options.
around for another couple years.
Yeah, it's been crowded in the Toyota camp for a while, but now you've got more seats, and you've got guys like Kurt Busch and Martin Truex Jr. right near the end here.
Yep.
So there's gonna be 2 seats that are gonna be available in the next couple of years. Where Ty Gibbs goes from there, I'm sure he'll find a good landing spot.
Yeah.
Can't really go wrong there, and maybe Denny's talked about a third team with 2311, so there's gonna be some seats available for some guys, and I've dogged John Hunter quite a bit, but he might, if the timing breaks just right, he might have played this thing pretty well.
Yeah.
If he gets up into the Xfinity series, maybe that's maybe the next thing for him, but he might break through here.
Yeah. Speaking of Martin Truex Jr., he's got a new engineer this weekend, James, at Sonoma.
Cole
Pern
star.
Yeah. Pern's coming back. Truex's engineer is going to be at a wedding this weekend, so Cole Pern's stepping in. And first when I saw this, I'm like, oh god, this is the
they're gonna win.
Yeah,
they're gonna win the race.
Well, I was just thinking like this is the reunion tour. We're gonna put Cole Pern and Truex back together. They're gonna announce that Truex is retiring, blah blah blah. But no, it's because there's a wedding. Truex could be a pretty big threat this weekend. He's pretty good at Sonoma. He's got a couple wins there recently.
Is this Cole Pern saying, "Hey, I miss this.
I don't know.
Back.
I don't know. He didn't want to deal with this car. This car is why he left.
Yeah, he dipped his toe into the Indy 500 a couple years ago, and now he's back with Truex here for a minute.
Or is it just a guy that doesn't have to do anything right now, so he's just having some fun?
Could be. I don't know. I would love. I mean, that guy, man. That's one of those moments that won't ever get talked about enough. How devastating it was that he left.
Yeah,
they were so good.
Yeah, you're talking Ray Evernham. That's that type of situation.
He was in that. They were winning at a clip that was Chad Knaus, Jimmy Johnson-esque. For a hot second there, but that's what makes Ray Evernham and Chad Knaus so special. They stuck around.
Yeah. Also some news this week. The Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel posted a piece with a Q&A with the CEO at Road America. And one of the things that came up is that there is no agreement beyond this season for NASCAR at Road America. So definitely some question marks hanging there on whether we'll return for a third Cup Series race out there. Whether we do, if it'll be 4th of July weekend again. There's certainly Chicagoland, as we've mentioned, knocking at the door to get a date back. 4th of July weekend would not be a terrible weekend to race in Chicago, although it'll be hotter than hell. Yeah. It'd be interesting to see what happens here. Road America's a good track. I hate to see it go, but I want Chicagoland back, man. And this is where the Chicagoland date went, by the way, that went to Road America. So
yeah, and I think NASCAR will be back here.
I think so too.
That was such a hit last year, and it mentions it in this article too.
Yeah.
But I think they'll be back. This has got to be the biggest event for that track. So I'm sure they'd like to keep it.
Certainly one of the biggest for sure. They also note in the article that they are repaving the track. They're actually shutting down earlier this season. They'll start paving it, I think, in September or October. So they have a complete repave as well. Certainly would bode well for NASCAR returning the following season as well. They've got a lot of big races coming through Road America in a very short time span this summer. So it's going to be a busy few weeks there in Wisconsin. So IndyCar, NASCAR, all that stuff going through.
Yeah, it's a good track, man.
Yeah, except for the cautions, man. The caution laps are just brutal.
They're brutal, yeah.
But otherwise, it's great. So.
Yep.
And with that, James, we head to Sonoma Raceway this weekend. We're back on the road course, back on the old layout of Sonoma, no longer running the carousel. I think we talked about that when they made that announcement. We're good with that, right? I mean...
Oh, yeah. I like that old corner.
I cheered for the carousel, but it just didn't do anything. Didn't make a difference, so...
Yep. No more... the passing zones were non-existent.
No, I'd rather see them try to dodge that wall when they jump over the turn in that short chute.
Well, rumor has it that curb's gone now.
Is it?
The curb near the wall is gone.
Okay.
Yes.
So can they run right to the wall now?
I think so. That's my understanding from what I read.
That could be even more interesting.
Well, this car can't handle that.
Head
that
break
bounce.
in half.
Yeah. So I think Sonoma took that out to give this car a little bit of room to breathe off that corner because it's
Oh my God!
treacherous.
First lap, everybody would have their diffuser
God.
broken.
That was my favorite. Whenever I did the racing video games, that was probably my favorite turn.
Yeah.
Coming into that corner and bouncing off that curb and then sliding it out to the wall. Oh, good stuff.
I loved Sonoma in the racing games, but I was always so bad at it.
This is my favorite track.
So the Truck Series and Cup Series are in action this weekend. It's the DoorDash 250 for the Truck Series. The Cup Series is Toyota Save Mart 350. As we already talked about with our picks, I was able to beat James this week by a decent amount, and therefore James gets the first pick this weekend. So, James, who you got for the Truck Series here?
Yeah, you had the second biggest week of the year, Eric. 128. So pretty good.
That's what that note was. I saw the note in there.
Yep, I put the note in there. Now I can delete it. But yeah, it was the if you combine all your races, it was a heck of a week. 128, pretty good.
I only made one pick this week. I didn't do a backup pick, so hopefully you don't pick my picks this week.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. Man, I hate to go chalk. I'll go. Oh boy, I'll go John Hunter.
Okay, good.
I'll go John Hunter. I'm gonna go with somebody I know is gonna be around. He might not win this race, but I need to play it safe here. So I'll go John Hunter.
Well, I'm gonna go Ben Rhodes because Ben Rhodes is my road course guy in the Truck Series. So
yep, he's gonna be good. He's gonna be good. You'll probably beat me. Easy as that.
Cup Series, who do you got?
Oh man, I hate picking first. I
hate picking first too. I do have a backup here, so I'm good here if you take mine. I don't think you're going to take mine, though.
I'm going to ride the momentum a little bit, and I'm going to say Kyle Busch wins this one.
Okay.
Much as I'd like to, I just, the new car and Chase Elliott doesn't excite me. And then, Ross Chastain will probably end up winning the dang thing, but I'll take Kyle Busch.
2 of the last 3 races here, Truex won. Did he not? Go. So, I mean...
Yep, he's won a lot.
But
Harvick won recently.
I'm not going to pick Martin Truex Jr. either. I am going to pick a past winner here, though, James, but I'm going to go back a little ways for my past winner. And I'm going to ride the momentum train a little bit, too, in a team that's been running really well. And also, I believe, at least in the last 10 races here, has the best average finish. I'm going Kurt Busch.
Ah, yeah. Eric.
Not only does he have a win here, but he almost had a win here with James Finch in a car that should not have had a chance.
So we both did a thing here with our picks.
Yeah.
We are at race 16 of the season. That was the first pick of both Busch brothers for us the entire season. We have not picked Kyle or Kurt all season long.
Really?
That's crazy.
We don't have a Kyle Busch pick? None of us have picked Kyle Busch?
No, I'm looking at it right now. We don't have a Kyle Busch pick.
Wow.
How did Kyle Busch get to week 16 without either of us? That just shows you how good we are at what we do.
Right, yeah.
We are professional podcasters.
We'll be fighting over him when we get to Bristol, though.
I can't believe Kyle Busch isn't picked until Sonoma.
That's ridiculous. God. But we've been doubting him,
I know.
I
almost went with Ross Chastain.
If we would have... Yeah, Ross Chastain's a good pick, too. Really good pick. I think Truex is a really good pick here. If we would have banned ourselves from picking Chevrolets, if you look back, we picked a lot of Chevrolets. Actually, we picked a lot of Fords too. But a lot of Chevrolets at the beginning of the season. Now it's starting.
Now we're in the Toyota camp. I went with full Kyle. I went all Kyle Busch all weekend. John Hunter and Kyle Busch. I can't go wrong.
There you go. How about not shoutouts? Fantasy League, James. What do we got? For Fantasy League
Eric.
I know.
I didn't
even look to see how bad I did. I just know that with how you were talking, I know who won.
So much joy from me. Once again, 2 weeks in a row, I've got the win. But I didn't gain anything again. I gained 8 points on the guy in front of me and 12 points on the leader. That's it. So it's really a push again. But I won. Faster the Grass second. Green Eggs and Hamlin was third, and these names are going to sound familiar because overall Green Eggs and Hamlin leads, Faster the Grass is second, and I am third. So we got a little bit of synergy there. That group of 3 is starting to separate a little bit from the rest of the pack. So we've got Freight Train not too far behind Justin 713, but they're well over 100 points behind the top 3. So we've got a little bit of separation, but It's fairly close, still fairly close, but yeah, we're starting to see some movement here.
Where the hell did I finish, James, this week? Terrible.
Not great. Hold on just a second.
I literally did not look.
Yeah, I switched it. Hold on just a second. I can get that for you. You finished in 6th.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you scored 190 points. That's a lot better than this.
The fantasy league. It's so stupid.
You beat Ranger.
Well, there you go.
I mean, there you go. The defending. So we're ahead of the defending champ, but you lost to Todd. So
yeah.
I mean, yeah. I'm trying so hard to win this damn league, Eric. I really am. It's driving me. If it makes you feel any better, it's driving me insane.
I'm much more wrapped up in our picks each week than I am in this.
This freaking league is driving me. It literally is bothering me. And I'm getting texts and I'm saying, nope, I'm not looking. And I've won the last 2 weeks, and with 2 wins, I haven't gained a damn thing. And it's just madness. It's just madness. I hate it.
The picks are killing me because, James, this week I was rooting against Carson Hocevar. I love Carson Hocevar. I want him to win so bad, and I was rooting against him because you picked him.
I know the picks don't bother me as much because I got my butt kicked so bad last year that I'll take whatever I can get.
Well, I don't want to get my butt kicked. So
this week when Chase Briscoe popped that tire, I really literally said, "What the hell?" Like I snake bit. But yeah, the fantasy league. Whew, the fantasy league really is bothering me. So.
Well, I've only missed putting my picks in once this year, so.
I'm getting to the point where I just want to quit. It's like it's too much stress in my life.
It's a wonder more people don't join because we talk so highly of it. Oh my God,
we talk so highly of it. Yeah.
Got any shout outs this week, James?
Yeah, we already did our JA corner, but I had one that I wanted to throw for both, and I'll still mention it for my shout out. Horrible Show Cars on Twitter.
Oh yes.
Horrible. If you want to laugh, just go to horrible. What is it? Hold on just a second. I want to make sure I get this right. I want to read it just right. At showcars_bad. Horrible Show Cars on Twitter. It's just funny. It just is. Yeah. Yep. There's bad show cars out there, and this guy captures them all. I'm looking at a Kyle Busch Chevy Monte Carlo Camry right now. So there you go. Good stuff.
My shout out this week, I'm going to give a shout out to all Will Power in the IndyCar series. Wins the final Detroit Grand Prix at Belle Isle this weekend. Mm-hmm. Great race. I did not actually get to watch it because it was during the Cup race, but I watched the extended highlights on YouTube. And why that can't I think of his name now? Alexander Rossi was coming, man. One more lap, he might have had power, but great finish to end the run of the Grand Prix at Belle Isle. Next year, it will be downtown in Detroit. So,
yep, he tried like heck to get there, bud.
Yeah,
it was good.
Since we did the Jackass already, I wanted to add one more. I don't remember who it was who did it, James. Maybe you can help me in this. But which team was the one in the truck series that decided to use the ratchet strap to hold the tailgate on the back of the truck after their accident early in the race?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't see that.
Was that Ty Majeski's team?
I don't know. I didn't see that one.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
They hooked a tie strap to the tailgate and strapped it to the roll bar on the truck and tried to tighten it up. And NASCAR said, no, you guys can't do that. You're gonna have to fix it correctly. I just thought it was kind of going to be my shout out and Jackass as well because that was how I kept my tailgate up in my first truck was with a tie strap. It works, but not in NASCAR, unfortunately.
Yeah, at least you're keeping yourself honest then.
Right.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it was when they did that. I was laughing pretty good.
That's really funny.
Another shout out, Michael Waltrip, I think did a pretty good job in the booth with the Cup Series on Sunday. And nice to see Kenny Wallace in the booth as well for a little bit, even though I might not.
I can do without Kenny Wallace in my life.
I'll leave it at that. I'm good with him. I'm good with it. Much better with his television persona than his social media persona. Let's just say that.
Yeah. We'll just leave it there.
But hey, man, in St. Louis, you got to have Kenny Wallace there. So.
Well, we couldn't have got Rusty. I know he's probably working for MRN, but
yeah, I'm sure he was there. Yeah. James, where can people hit you up on social media if they want to reach out to you during the week?
At James Cush on Twitter.
You can find me at T Super Speedway on Twitter. You can find the podcast on Facebook at facebook.com/thesuperspeedway. Our website is thesuperspeedway.com. You can find old episodes of the podcast, show notes, links to articles we discussed, past race coverage, photos, all that jazz. You can find it there. You can find the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, and SoundCloud, wherever you found us today. We hope you continue to listen, subscribe, hit us up in the comments, send us a note. We love hearing from people. We love everybody who listens each week. It's been cool to see the numbers, so definitely appreciate it. And we'll be back next week to break down Sonoma and preview whatever the heck comes after that. Nashville, right? I think we go to Nashville next.
Yeah, Nashville. We got a week off after Sonoma.
That's right, week off, and then we
got our 1 week off.
And this is also the last Fox weekend for the Cup Series, so we'll be switching to NBC after this, and Rick Allen.
Smoking the booth.
Yeah. So there you go. Mm-hmm. We'll be back next week to break it all down. Until then, everybody, let's go racing.